Today we're taking on a real heavy hitter,
Yeah, we're gonna get deep.
Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. I mean, this book, it's touched so many lives.
It really has. It's helped so many people find their way.
Exactly. And I think, for anyone who's maybe facing some tough times or just looking for like a deeper sense of purpose.
Yeah, or even, just curious about the human spirit and what it means to be resilient.
Right. This book is, it's just packed with wisdom.
Oh, absolutely. And the structure of the book is really interesting too, because it's
Yeah, it's like two parts.
yeah,
Almost like two books in one, right?
right, exactly. So the first part, it's Frankl's own experience in the Nazi concentration camps.
And he doesn't hold back.
It's raw, it's powerful.
But what I find so fascinating is that he doesn't just dwell on the horrors.
Right. He goes beyond that.
He uses those experiences to explore something, like even deeper.
Yeah, it's how do people survive, not just, physically, but mentally and emotionally in those conditions?
And he finds that there's this inner strength.
This flicker of hope
Yeah.
that somehow stays alive.
And that's where logotherapy comes in, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's part two of the book. He introduces his own unique approach to psychotherapy.
So it's like, here's what I went through.
Yeah.
And here's what I learned from it.
Yeah, almost here's the toolkit I developed to not just survive, but to find meaning in it all.
And I think that's like such a powerful message for all of us.
Absolutely, because most Holocaust memoirs, they focus on the brutality.
Right. The suffering.
Yeah. But Frankl, he's asking, how did people hold on to their humanity?
How do they find the will to keep going?
Yeah. And what he observed was, even in those, utterly dehumanizing conditions, prisoners still had this one freedom that couldn't be taken away.
The freedom to choose their attitude.
Exactly. He calls it attitudinal freedom. This idea that even when you've lost everything else,
Your possessions, your loved
Yeah.
ones, your dignity.
everything, you still have the power to choose how you respond.
That's incredible to think about that, like in the camps.
Yeah. And his own words, they really hit this point home.
Laid out there.
He said, everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way.
Powerful stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because it's saying we're not just victims of fate.
We have agency, even in the face of the worst imaginable suffering.
And that's what's so inspiring about Frankl's message. It's a reminder that we always have a choice.
And that choice can make all the difference.
Absolutely. It can really change everything. And that choice leads us right into the core of logotherapy. It's all about finding meaning, even when life just throws its worst at you.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, maybe those hearing about logotherapy for the first time, how would you sum it up? What's the main idea?
Well, at its heart, it's the idea that, humans were not driven by pleasure, like Freud said. The real driving force is our search for meaning.
It's that deeper thing, like a compass, pointing us towards something bigger.
Exactly. Something beyond ourselves.
And that resonates with Frankl's own story, right? In the camps, it wasn't about comfort. It was finding that something to hold on to make the suffering bearable.
That's it. It's not about avoiding the pain. It's about finding, your why right in the middle of it. And that's really what kept him going.
Yeah, that's powerful. But I think, some people might hear that and be like, okay, but how do I actually find that meaning? Where do I even start looking?
Right. It can feel pretty overwhelming,
Yeah.
But Frankl, he actually gives us a framework. He talks about three main sources where we can find meaning: love, work, and even suffering.
Oh, okay, love and work. Those seem, I guess, kind of intuitive, right? Love is the connection, belonging, work, contributing something, making a difference. But suffering, how can we find meaning in that?
Yeah, no, it's kind of a head scratcher at first. But what Frankl is saying is, even when there's pain, unavoidable pain, there's still opportunity, for growth.
Right. So it's not like glorifying pain. It's about our response to it.
Exactly. Have you ever, gone through something really tough, like a loss or a big setback, and then on the other side, you realize it made you stronger. You found a new purpose. That's what Frankl is getting at.
Yeah, I can see that. Like those stories of people who've gone through incredible hardship and then find this whole new appreciation for life. Like the suffering, it kind of refines them.
And that ties back to the idea of attitudinal freedom, right?
Right.
We can't always control what happens, the stuff life throws at us, but we can control how we interpret it, how we let it shape us.
So much of it is about our perspective. So how can someone listening take these big ideas, like all this powerful stuff, and apply it to their own life?
Well, one way, I think, a good starting point is just, becoming more aware. Like, in your day-to-day life, when do you feel a sense of meaning? What are those things, those activities that, make you totally lose track of time? Or those relationships that leave you feeling energized and, fulfilled?
So noticing those sparks of joy, the things that
Yeah.
make you feel truly alive, and asking, like, why? What
Ye-
is it about this that really resonates with me?
Yeah, exactly. And then you can start, to nurture those sources of meaning, make space for them in your life.
It's not just waiting for meaning to just fall into your lap. It's going out and seeking it out, creating opportunities for it.
That's it. And it doesn't have to be some huge, grand thing. It could be volunteering,
Yeah.
or learning a new skill, taking on a creative project.
Or even just like deepening the connections you already have with loved ones.
Exactly. There are so many possibilities. But the key is that it doesn't have to be this huge, dramatic gesture. It's those little things, those everyday moments, acts of love, putting in the work, facing those inevitable challenges with an open mind, ready to learn.
That's where the growth is. Finding that purpose, that why that guides you, that helps you navigate all the ups and downs.
Yeah. It's about like really embracing life, all the messiness, the complexity, and finding those pieces, those little pockets of meaning that make it all worthwhile.
I love that. And I think that's a great place to like step back for a second and recap some of the key takeaways from man's search for meaning.
Mm.
All right, so we've got deep on man's search for meaning, but there are a few things I really want to make sure we highlight before we wrap up.
Yeah, definitely. Like those nuggets of wisdom
Yeah.
that people can take with them.
Exactly. So first off, even in the midst of suffering, we have a choice.
Right. It all comes back to that, doesn't it?
It does. Like that's Frankl's idea of attitudinal freedom.
It's so powerful. The reminder that even when we feel like we've lost control,
Like everything is just happening to us.
exactly, we still have this power to choose how we respond.
And it's not just about slapping on like, a happy face.
Right. It's not toxic positivity.
It's about going deeper, asking, okay, this is what is, but how can I approach this in a way that lets me keep my dignity, my sense of self?
Yeah. And that leads to the second takeaway, right? Meaning it's not something that someone just gives you. It's something we have to discover, create, cultivate.
Our own way.
Exactly. It's about like staying curious, exploring, trying new things, and paying attention to what truly like resonates with us.
What lights that fire?
Yes. And sometimes,
Yeah.
it's about finding that meaning in unexpected places. Like even those things that we might at first see as negative or painful.
Right. That's where the suffering piece comes in.
Yeah. It's about seeing that even in those tough times, there's an opportunity to
Yeah.
grow, to learn, to change.
It becomes something more.
Exactly. It's about asking ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can I use this challenge to become a stronger, more resilient person?
So come out the other side better. And all of this, it goes back to like this one really crucial point that Frankl makes that, everyone has this capacity for meaning.
It's not just for, some people
Right.
or in certain situations.
Right. It doesn't discriminate.
It's a universal human need. It's
Yeah.
for everyone, no matter, where they come from, what they believe, or their situation right now.
That's hopeful, isn't it? Like that's a hopeful message.
It is. We all need a little hope these days.
So as we kind of wrap up our deep dive into man's search for meaning, I think there's no better way to end than with one last thought from Frankl himself.
Let's hear it.
He said, when we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves.
Man, mic drop.
Right. So good. And it's a reminder that we always have that power to choose our response, to find that new path forward, even when things just feel impossible.
Yeah. Even in those moments where we feel totally stuck.
It's about taking control of our own lives, even when faced with, adversity, challenges, whatever life throws at us.
It's about remembering that we're not powerless. We have agency.
Exactly. So to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has, given you something to think about, maybe even sparked some new ideas about how to bring a little more meaning into your own life using Frankl's wisdom.
And, until next time, keep searching, keep exploring, and keep diving deep into the things that really matter to you.
Thanks for joining us.